Alright, today we're going to run through my pre-season maintenance routine on this Craftsman riding lawn tractor. It doesn't matter if you have a Craftsman, you could have a Husqvarna, Cub Cadet, John Deere. The maintenance routine that you're going to go through is going to be very similar is what I'm going to show you today on this riding lawnmower. Okay, there may be some slight differences. This one's got the Kohler engine in it. You might have a Briggs & Stratton. This one's a twin cylinder. Yours might be a single cylinder. But the procedure is basically the same. Okay, we're gonna change the oil. We're gonna change the filter. I'm gonna show you how to clean the pre-filter on your air filter, and we're gonna go ahead and lube it up as well. All right, let's get started. All right, so as I mentioned, this is the Kohler 20 horse V-Twin 7000 series. Okay, so your engine may look slightly different, even if it's a Briggs. Okay, process is going to be similar. We're going to pull the dipstick out first here. I'm just going to lay that on a rag here. Okay. On this engine, we're looking down to the right-hand side of the tractor if we're sitting on it. Okay. Right down here under the starter, we're looking at that yellow valve. Okay, let me position the camera so hopefully you'll be able to see what the process is. Alright, so this Kohler engine included this nice clear plastic tube to help route the oil away from the frame. And I should mention that you may not have a valve like this. You may just have a drain plug, okay? Whether it's a Briggs & Stratton. Another engine, too, that you used to find on lawn tractors quite often was Tecumseh. I know that Sears Craftsman used to have Tecumseh engines a lot. I'm going to pop that black plastic cap off there and insert the tube. Now, for this oil change, I commonly use just a simple laundry detergent container. And that's because I can get it in here by the wheel and the deck real easily, and it's also easy to pour the oil out of. Okay, so they don't break down. Okay, this type of plastic it's pretty durable, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but it sits just like that for me. For this engine, which holds 2 quarts of oil, it needs to be at least able to hold 2 quarts, and this one holds like 2.57 quarts. Okay, so with that on there, I'm going to spin this plastic valve counterclockwise about a quarter of a turn. All right, probably won't be able to see it because my hands are in the way, but that's what we're doing. Okay, now we need to pull out on that valve. Put my tube back in the I don't know if you can actually see. Let me see if I can show you. See how there's like a notch? And now we can pull that valve out. It's right there, okay? And you can see we are draining here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and let that finish draining. While that drains, let's take a quick look at the air filter on this. Alright, so on this engine, we're looking at the very front. Now on some engines, you may see a big box off to the left or off to the right. Depending on where your carburation is. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and flip these 2 little side clips out right here. They just flip out sideways like this and lift up. Alright, so I should mention that I changed the oil at the beginning of every season. Okay, the manual says 50 hours. You know, I don't keep track. I figure at the beginning of the year I'm going to change the oil. Okay, this I have not purchased yet, and I've had it for a couple of years. Okay, this is a pre-filter. And this can be cleaned, okay? In fact, we're going to do that right now. In fact, it should be, you can tell. Let's get into a different spot here where we can clean this and get a better look at it. Alright, I'm going to start by using my wet dry vac to vacuum off as much loose debris as possible and try not to tear the filter itself, okay? Let's go ahead and remove the pre-filter. And I'm just going to hit this with the vacuum as well, although it looks pretty good, okay? Okay, so as I'm doing that, I'm trying to see if there's air being pulled through the filter, and obviously there is. I missed a little spot there. It looks like the pre-filter may have been pulled down there, okay? The pre-filter is doing its job. It's supposed to trap contaminants before it actually hits the filter. So this is why I say it's not necessary to replace this every year, although I would definitely go through this process of cleaning it, okay? The next thing I'm going to do is actually spray it down with brake cleaner. Now, this is something that I get some feedback on, and in terms of comments. And you know, I use brake cleaner, I use carburetor cleaner, I use what I have, okay? And brake cleaner evaporates quickly, it doesn't leave any residue, and that's what we're looking for. And I would say the same about carburetor cleaner as well. All right. Alright, now I'm just going to go ahead and let this dry, and while that's drying, we're going to go continue on with the oil filter, okay? Alright, from the driver's perspective, we're looking at the left-hand side here, on this engine anyways, alright? Now I'm going to go ahead and muck a hole of that and see if I can spin it off by hand. Otherwise, I'm going to use an oil filter wrench. Now there are various types of oil filter wrenches, and they're all fairly inexpensive, okay? So it'd be worthwhile investing in something like that. But because this one is extremely accessible, and I do have a little catch pan underneath as well, I'm just going to go ahead and grab it with both hands, and we're going to go counterclockwise. Okay, and spin it up like that. Alright, let that drain out a little bit, and then we'll wipe that down. Alright, while that oil filter port drains, let's go ahead and pull this tube off. Now, in hindsight, I probably could have quickly put that on that port, and it may have diverted some of that oil, but we didn't lose a whole lot anyways. All right, and set the container aside here. All right, with this here, we're going to push it in, and then we're going to go clockwise. And again, you can see that notch. Actually, I'm turning the actual bolt that this threads onto is turning as well, so that may have been a little bit loose. And we'll pop that cap on. Alright, I'll have to check that later, because this yellow valve, as I was going clockwise, was turning what looks like the threaded piece in there to the base of the engine. So that's probably a little bit loose, although it doesn't look like it's been leaking. I would want to tighten that up. Alright, then obviously clean up around your area here. Any oil like this is going to collect dirt and dust and grass, so I'll try to wipe it up. Alright, let's talk about filters real quick before I install it. Okay, this is the actual Craftsman Kohler compatible filter. 120501, okay? Now, it kind of ticks me off because this thing's like $13 at a Sears store. Because I'm doing a video, I'm using the right filter, so it's because of you guys and I'm spending more money than I have to, alright? By that, I mean, in the past, I've used, now it wasn't the one we pulled off, I've used a Fram, okay? This Fram is essentially the same, okay? It's a little bit larger. It's certainly going to fit this tractor, and it's actually, because it's larger, going to have a little bit more oil flow, okay? So it's not going to restrict oil flow in any way. So my personal opinion is that an XG3614, which is an ultra synthetic Fram filter, for about $7 or $6.99, is just as good, if not better, than, you know, a Kohler or a Craftsman filter. And I am putting synthetic oil in this as well. I'm not using the Kohler oil, okay? So, but because I'm doing a video, I would recommend that you go and purchase the 120501. You can get the actual Kohler filter on eBay for, I think, $8.99, free shipping. Make sure you're not getting the one that ends in S, because that's going to be a short filter, all right? For this engine anyways. Get the filter that your engine states that it needs. But in my case, there are times when I deviate from the norm, and I've had perfect luck with that. No problem at all. Alright, let's go ahead and install it real quick. What I'm going to do real quick is fill this up and apply a little bit of fresh oil around the actual gasket. Alright, for this oil change, I'm using Castrol Edge Full Synthetic 10W30. Okay, now, obviously, again, I'm going to go back to, you know, if you feel more comfortable using the Kohler stuff, use the Kohler stuff, alright? I'm just going to go ahead and fill this up about halfway. It's okay that we spilled a little. That's why we have the cardboard. Take my finger, dip it in the new stuff, go around the gasket. Okay, let's go clean up around the actual oil filter port. Alright, so you definitely want to wipe around the gasket mating surface, okay? And let's pull our pan out of here. And make sure you're not cross-threading it. If it doesn't spin easily, don't force it. Alright, once the gasket makes contact, you're going to go another half to full turn beyond that. Okay, just like that. Alright, let's fill it up with oil, then we'll continue on with the rest of the maintenance here. Going 2 quarts on this one. Alright, I always mention make sure that you pass a rag through your funnel to make sure that you're not putting contaminants into your crankcase. Alright, let me get the oil. And we're going to go 2 quarts. Not necessary for you to see this. Obviously you're going to use the indicator on the side of the container, or if you're using 2 individual quarts, I would pour the first one, almost the second one, check it, and then after you start the engine you're going to check it again anyways. Okay, let me get 2 quarts in here and then we'll move on. Alright, let's take a quick look here. Now with new oil it can be extremely difficult to see. I'm right at the full mark, okay? Now what I'm going to do when it's all said and done, I'm going to start the engine, let it run 5 minutes, and then check it again. It's not going to drop that much. It's definitely going to be between the low and the F or the full mark, okay? Don't overfill it. Important. It can be difficult to see with new oil, especially if you're changing it regularly, which is good. Let it set a while, dry it off completely, put it back in. You'll be able to see it. Look for the sheen. Alright, let's do the air filter. Alright, let's take a quick look at the foam filter here. You remember this thing was saturated. It's pretty much dry, and there's no video trickery here. Basically, all I did was install the filter, filled the oil, and this thing is dry. Nothing. Okay? That's why I use brake cleaner, carburetor cleaner. Go ahead and troll on me if you want, but that stuff works great, and there's no residue, right? Now, this is the important part. Do not skip this. Foam air filter oil, okay? The pre-filter can only do its job if it has oil. And actually, there's still a little bit of oil residue left over, but the brake cleaner or carburetor cleaner or whatever you're using to clean the foam filter is going to remove that oil. So, if you don't have this stuff, this is one thing I'm not going to substitute a product for, is this foam air cleaner oil. You can use various brands. It doesn't matter what brand you get, but okay, this is kind of important. Alright, let's let that set. While that sets, we're going to do a couple of other things. Okay, next you're going to want to check your front end and your wheel bearings for grease zerks. This Craftsman has grease zerks on the wheel bearings and on the front end here. It does have a cast iron front end as well, which is one of the reasons why I purchased it, okay? Although people slam on these Craftsman road riding mowers, they have some nice features that other more expensive brands don't have, okay? I usually go 2 to 3 pumps and move on. I'm going to do the wheel bearings next. Alright, let's take a look at the filter here. I'm just going to go ahead and lay a cloth down and give it a little squeeze. Okay, you don't need a whole lot of oil in the filter, you just want the filter to be oily. Okay, I probably did overkill, but that's a common theme on my channel. If you're a subscriber, you'd know I over tighten, I over spray, and hey, that's who I am. But I can tell you one thing, that filter is better than it was when we started. Alright, pop that back in place here. And make sure that it's seated nicely all around the filter. Let's go install it. Alright, so as you can see, I wiped up around this intake here. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and press this on. I should have mentioned too, when I removed it, I just kind of lifted it off. Okay, I don't think I mention that this pulls right off. Okay, it's got sort of a rubber seal here around, and it just pushes back on. Alright, let's put the cover on. There's one last thing I want to do here, and this is something again that's, you know, maybe not necessary to do every year. I like to do it because I want to be ready to roll when the mowing time comes. Alright, let's take a quick look at the other thing I do. Alright, so the last thing we're going to do here is replace this fuel filter, alright? Now this is something I usually do every, I don't know, 2 to 3 years. You don't want to let it get too bad. You may have a petcock that can shut the fuel off prior to this. If not, you could use vice grips and pinch the line off, but depending on how old your mower is or how weathered the rubber lines are, you may crack the line. So what you could do is just wait till you run out of gas, right? That's what I've done. So what I'm going to do here is just go ahead and, this one has these sort of pinch clips or spring clips. Move those out of the way. Alright, so depending on how long it's been on there, this may come off kind of difficult, but it's just kind of give it a twist and pull at the same time. And there may be, even if you're running out of gas, you may get a little bit of gas on you. Alright, so pull this one off. And you can see I just lost a little bit of fuel there. Alright, now I actually purchased a Kohler fuel filter. It's not absolutely necessary, but what you do need to pay attention to is the flow direction. So usually they'll have an arrow like this. Alright. And we'll just move those clips back into place here. Alright, that's quick and painless. Now, how often you change this kind of depends on the state of your gas. So if your mower sits with old gas in it for an extended period of time, or maybe you have a lot of debris in there, or if you have a metal tank too, that makes a difference. You may have rust. So it's one of those things that you can replace. It doesn't cost very much, especially if it's not running that well, because this could become clogged and you could have reduced fuel flow. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so the last thing I like to do is sort of look for wear points. Like right there, you can see there's a plastic bushing where the steering column comes through. I've already sprayed it down with some brake cleaner. Now I'm going to hit this one with some 3-in-1. Okay, because it's gonna seep down into that bushing a little bit. The other stuff I like to use is this white lithium grease. Okay, works pretty well and it stays put. Okay, there's another spot right there related to the steering. You can see that it's wearing. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and hit that with brake cleaner. Try to wipe it off if you can get to it. I hope this video has been helpful. Leave questions or comments below. Again, this is this is a Craftsman tractor. But the process we went through here today, it's going to be the same or similar on a lot of other vehicles. Let's hit that with some lithium grease here. And all of this is really just what you'd call preventative maintenance, okay? I'm not worried about the spark plugs yet. When your vehicle, or tractor rather, begins to run poorly, we're going to look at the spark plugs. But I mean, it's only a couple years old, and today's engines run a lot more efficiently. You don't have the spark plug issues and carburation issues that you used to have, as long as you're doing your maintenance, keeping your fuel clean, and staying on top of things. Alright, thanks for watching. Hit that thumbs up if you liked the video, found it helpful. Hit that subscribe button right down there, I think it is, if you want to see more of this type of stuff. Alright, leave questions and comments below, and have fun. Happy mowing.